Hello and welcome to the Unshakable Co-Parent podcast. Now, in this episode, I am recording this on Christmas Eve, and I've been reflecting on the year that I've had, the year that I want to have in, next year, and the previous years that I've had, and thinking about how I have my coaching practice set up, thinking about my clients, thinking about people in my world, and something that I'm always trying to do is to make things really clear, really explicit, and to serve at the highest level, serve my people at the highest level. Now, depending what time you're listening to this, this is what's happening in my world. I am introducing some spaces that are more varied, but more opportunities for people to work with me. That's not just either one-on-one or, well, basically one-on-one, to work closely with me. Now, this is going to be a very simple episode, but a very important one. And remember, you don't have to you don't have to remember this. You don't have to remember what I'm saying. I will put all of this in the show notes, all the important parts into the show notes. This is just going to be very, very useful, especially if you're either new to my world or you've been in my world for a while, or maybe you've been in a container before and you're not really sure what's on offer right now. This is the place to hear about that. Now, you probably had that moment, especially if you have been in my world for a bit of time, of, okay, Sarah, I get this and I feel it and I know that I need support. I know I need help in that area, but where do I actually start? And I don't want you to overthink that. It really should not be a tough or hard decision. I want to make it really clear, really easy for you. And I don't want you having 15 tabs open or having to read every single page and then choose nothing because you're trying to make, I'm doing speech marks, the perfect decision. There is no perfect decision, but I feel that after this episode, you'll be very, very clear on where you want and need to be in terms of my offers. So I'm going to walk you through the spaces very briefly, very quickly, and I'm going to speak to you about them at an identity level because we're all about identity in my world. Okay, so this isn't going to be a boring what's inside, what do you get, because you can read. You'll be able to see that on the pages. Okay, but it's more about who are you choosing to be when you decide what you want for yourself, what you want for your children. Okay, depending on what the offer is. Now, just a real quick overview by container. If you want structure, as in my frameworks, my methods, my approach, then the hub is the best place to be for that, because that's where all my programs and masterclasses, my AI tools, my other tools, that's where all of that lives for structure. Now, if you want proximity, as in personalized support from me on a weekly basis, that would be the inner circle. Okay. And that's for you if you've maybe done some programs already, or you've been in therapy, you've done a lot of work yourself, and you now want help with the nuance and that personalized support from me as your guide. And if you want the highest level of support and direct support from me, that would be private one-on-one. Okay. And then the very last offer, which is a new offer starting on January 1st, is if you want my voice in your ear and my perspective on certain topics as it pertains to children or court prep or communication and boundaries and personal power, that would be 365. So that would be me in your ear on an ongoing basis when you're commuting, cooking, cleaning, whatever it may be, and just absorbing my energy and listening and having me as your guide in that way. Okay, so now I'm going to go through the different spaces that I just briefly mentioned. Now, the Unshakable Hub, this is like your strategic base. This is for you if you've already done a bit of work, you're not necessarily new to my world, but you've done maybe a masterclass or a program here and there, or a workshop, or you've been on a live training with me. And you are saying to yourself, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel every single time something happens. I really want a base I can come to 24/7. I want some structure, some frameworks and methods I can implement in my life. And you want my way of thinking. That's where you would get that in the hub. Now, in the hub, you're going to get frameworks and methods, my methods, in terms of children, transitions, strengthening the bond with them, showing up as the unshakable role model, and communication and boundaries, the queen of boundaries, unfiltered, and the texting workshop. And then court prep, everything to do with documenting evidence, the strategic AF workshop or simple AF masterclass, not proof parenting plans, and dealing with third parties program. I think it's called Third Party Allies, and also the Evidence Edge AI. So whatever chapter or season that you're in, you are not trying to solve it from scratch in the middle of the stretch, in the stress. This is to help you and for you to have access to all of these resources as and when you need them without having to wait. Now, you're going to get the frameworks, you're going to get the tools that you can just apply whenever you want. And also there's a monthly Q&A with me, so you can get support in terms of making a decision, whatever it is that you need to make a decision on. Or if you just want me to riff on something, you tell me your situation and I've thought about doing this, this, or this. What are your thoughts, Sarah? What would you do in this situation? That's what would happen in the hub. Okay. So it's basically the hub is you log in, you search for what you're looking for, you go and apply, and then you move on. And you dip in and out whenever you need to. And there's a community. And like I said before, the Q&A. So if you want to stay child focused, organized, calm, and you want everything in one spot, you're not having to scramble for different logins, the hub is the place to be as your strategic base. Now, 365 transmissions. This is where you stay in your power over time. So this is 365 transmissions or audios over the course of 12 months. So this is a very different kind of container. And if you've been in a Telegram space with me before, you'll kind of know how it all works. Because it's not a program, there's no set curriculum, and it's not a Q&A or anything like that. 365 transmissions is my private feed, so it's going to be made up of voice notes, maybe the occasional written drop as well, of how I think, what I notice, and what I would do in specific situations and the reason why. So see it like it's my programs, but with me speaking in an audio to you, but real life situations as they unfold. Okay, so when you choose 365, you might be thinking to yourself, I want to stay in my power over time. I know the places where I get thrown out of my power, but I have been in my power, and I want to stay consistent with being in my power. I don't want to keep losing myself or being thrown off or thrown out in this season of my life right now. Okay, because usually it's not like a court date that's coming up that's going to wear you down. It's the drip. It's the kids are doing this, the co-parents saying and doing that. Court is coming in 3 months, whatever it may be. So it's those little moments that really pull you out of your power. Because I know you've been in your power. You know how to be in your power, but certain things throw you off. And this is where you can stay in your power on a consistent basis over time. So it's something that you can go back to time and time again, especially as a new layer of something hits and you want to, deal with it from a place of power rather than a place of fear or reaction. So you can listen to that whilst you're commuting, walking, cleaning, doing life, living your best life. And it's just my voice in your ear that brings you back to your North Star before you even take any kind of action. And it's a one-way, like I mentioned before, a one-way broadcast. So it's like me coaching you, but it's one way. And you can comment on the transmissions, on the audios, give your feedback, your reflections, but I will not be answering questions in 365. It would just be an ongoing private feed. Now, if you did want questions answered, then the hub would be the place to get those questions answered. Okay, but 365 is something you just put in your ear, you listen and take something from it and just have that as part of your daily routine. Now, the inner circle, this is a high level space, a high level room for discussion and personalized support. So this is for you if you've already done a lot of work on yourself but now you want a higher level discussion and personalized support in real time, like as things are unfolding. So if you're going to choose the inner circle, that's where you'd be saying to yourself, I don't need more information necessarily, but I do want support that actually meets me where I am. And I want that on an ongoing basis, like week to week. Because, you know, this season, this chapter of your life isn't just about the logistics. It's about your identity and it's about your nervous system and the standards that you're holding whilst life is still happening around you and your life is still moving. So the inner circle is going to be held in Telegram on a weekly basis, and there will be a monthly hot seat. Now, if you're not sure or not familiar with the term hot seat, in my world, a hot seat coaching call is where we're on Zoom and you come up and we go back and forth. So it's personalized coaching from me. You'll get personalized coaching from me in the Telegram thread on a weekly basis. And then there's also an opportunity for hot seat coaching if you need it, if you want it, to go back and forth with me for that, back and forth discussion. So that differs to the hub where that's a Q&A, where you submit a Q&A and I do respond on video, on a live video, but it's not hot seat. So in the inner circle, it is anything and everything to do with your children, communication, boundaries, your nervous system, court prep, your personal power, relationships, whatever it may be, relationship with yourself as well. And it's not anything to do with, like, I'm not going to give you any programs. There's no scripts or anything like that there's no content to consume. It is a high level room for high level conversations. So it's not obviously none of my spaces are this, but it's not a venting space. It's a space to gain momentum, to make the moves in your life and to have my support and have me as your guide as you do that. So if you want nuance and traction and you want to keep your standards high without becoming, hard or without losing yourself, then the inner circle is the place to be for that. And if you want high level conversation and the personalized support from me as things are unfolding in your life, then that would be the inner circle. Now, the last space is private one-on-one, which is the highest proximity with me. Previously, I was only offering 3 months or 6 months with me for private one-on-one. So there was a level of commitment. But now, going into 2026, at this stage of recording this, I'm introducing an intensive and a sprint option. Now, with private one-on-one, this is the highest level of proximity to me. And it's not necessarily for high stakes, but it is if you want me in your back pocket as you are making key decisions as it pertains to your children, or it could be something happening in court and you want me beside you as your guide. Okay. Now, if you were to choose one-on-one, this is like you saying, I'm not going to be doing this part alone and I want to make the right kind of moves and I want everything, I want to cross my T's and dot my I's. I want a clean nervous system as I go and take these action steps. Now, like I mentioned, there are 2 ways to get private one-on-one with me. And there's still long-term one-on-one, which I'll explain in a minute. Now, the one-on-one intensive is a one-time 45-minute call for when you might have just one decision, one thing going on right now, and you want like some moves and some direction and a reset and some clarity on that situation, and you want it fast. That's when you would book a one-on-one intensive with me. The second option is a sprint, and this is 1 month of support with me for when something might be going on. Again, but you want that ongoing help with me over the month as it pertains to your children, or it could be your boundaries and messages, court, legal professionals, the whole thing. This is a very focused and contained space, the sprint. And I just want to say, like, with one-on-one, this is not about you outsourcing your authority. This is about you making the decision that I'm not going to navigate this alone anymore. I'm not going to keep trying to do that. I want to stop looping and I want to get back into my own authority faster and I want to stay there. So I'm your guide walking that path with you, keeping you in your power very closely. So if that's what's going on for you, then that would be your space one-on-one. And of course, after we've done the intensive, or if you chose the sprint, then you'd be invited for ongoing private one-on-one if it felt aligned for both of us to continue in that way. Now, I did a lot of talking, and I just want to give you a quick summary on how to choose without overthinking it. And again, you can send me a DM on Instagram at any point to ask which is the best space for me. This is my situation very briefly. I'm thinking about joining X space. What are your thoughts? You're more than welcome. My DMs are open for you to ask that. Okay, if you ever need any direction. This is the simplest way to choose. If you want a strategic base, frameworks, my methods that you can use anytime, then go to the hub. If you want to stay in your power over time and have my voice in your ear on an almost daily basis, then that would be 365 transmissions. If you want a high level room with personalized support that's weekly and the hot seat with nuance, then that would be the inner circle. And then if you want direct support with me right now for something that's unfolding, whether it's your children or court prep or whatever it may be, then that would be the one-on-one intensive or the sprint. And of course, you can combine any of these offers together because there will be women in the hub and 365 transmissions. Some people in the hub will also be in inner circle. And some start with the intensive private one-on-one and decide they want a longer container from there. So there is no right choice, but there is only a choice that matches what you need and want right now. Now, I have gone through the offers, and my intention for 2026 is that there is a space for you. You know exactly where you need and want to be. You know exactly what you're going to get when you join. And I do also want to, and I haven't mentioned it here, but there will be some shorter term containers as well that will happen throughout the year. And they're usually through Telegram. So I like that way of delivery. I know we're all busy and it's very convenient for me and for you as well. Now, if you take nothing else from this episode, is that I want you to remember that you don't need to be perfect to be safe. Okay, what you need is standards, and you need structure, and you need a way to come back to yourself quickly, especially if you are in this season of having to support your children, having to support yourself, or preparing for court, or keeping your co-parent at arm's length. Focusing on your own personal power as you do this and who you're becoming. So that's what all these spaces are created for. They're just different levels of proximity. And obviously, you may prefer listening to me. Another person might prefer watching a program or listening to a program. Some people love community, or some people really love deep conversations. Okay. So the links will be in the show notes to all of these spaces and a summary of what I've mentioned in this in this episode here. And also, if you're not in a position to choose yet, that is also okay. Okay, just let this episode bring you back to your own authority, your own knowing. Just know who you are and know who's making a decision, and you own your decision, whatever that is. Okay, because the whole point of this work is just to stay you. I don't mean stay you as in stay your old version. It's just be true to who you are and trust your decisions are aligned, whatever decision you decide to make. Okay? And I will see you inside the next episode. I'm not going to promise another one before the end of the year, but I may drop another episode soon. But as I mentioned in the previous episode, this is just basically the new season of the Unshakable Co-Parent podcast. This is the new era. I had a long break. I think March was the last time I uploaded an episode. I'm going to be doing these a bit more frequently, and they're not going to be too long. Literally, it's just going to be like me talking like we're on FaceTime, but obviously we don't see each other's faces. They're not going to be fancy. They're just going to be me talking and sharing my thoughts, my contemplations, and yeah, just communicating with you in the best way I know how. And you can hopefully feel me, feel my energy, and decide what you want to do from there. Okay, so take care. If I don't do another episode, then have a very Merry Christmas if you celebrate Christmas. Have a wonderful holiday period if not, anyway. And I cannot wait to see what next year brings. A lot of people have said that 2025 was hard. I don't really ever use the word hard, but yeah, I would say yes, challenging. It's been a very up and down year, waves, I would say. It's gone in waves this year, energetically. So next year I have high hopes for something bigger and something better for us all. All right, so take care. Also, all the things like comment, subscribe, or whatever, all the things people say. Share this episode with someone who you feel would benefit from hearing. And again, I'll put all the links in the show notes. Take care. Speak to you soon. Bye.